But we are going to start with the war in Gaza. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are expected to speak today. It'll be their first phone call since an Israeli airstrike killed 7 aid workers with the World Central Kitchen on Monday in Gaza. And earlier, CBS Morning spoke with the parent of Jacob Flickinger, the American aid worker killed in that strike.
We haven't been told anything by the United States government or the Canadian government. All we know is what we've read and seen on the media. Then the Israeli military is extremely incompetent. And the leaders that are running this campaign are incompetent.
Well, the charity's founder, Chef José Andrés, says that there's evidence that the group was deliberately targeted. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams is following the latest for us from Tel Aviv. Holly, good morning.
Good morning. Chef José Andrés is a hugely respected figure who's dedicated himself to feeding the hungry. Now he's making accusations about how his team members were killed.
So this was not just bad luck situation where, oops, we dropped the bomb in the wrong place.
The 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers killed by Israel's military in Gaza were targeted systematically, car by car, according to the group's founder, the Spanish-American chef José Andrés.
And this looks like it's not a war against terrorism anymore. Seems this is a war against humanity itself.
Speaking on Israeli television, he broke down.
I've been in Gaza myself. I met, and some of the people that died were my friends, and I served with them.
Israel's military says the attack on the 3-car convoy was a mistake after a misidentification. But World Central Kitchen says it was coordinating its movements in Gaza with the military. Andrés claims his team tried to call the Israeli military even as they came under fire. Some moving from the first car after it was hit to the second, which was also hit, and then the third, leaving all 7 dead. CBS News has geolocated the wreckage of the cars to positions hundreds of yards apart.
It rings true that this was likely a misidentification.
Wes Bryant is a retired Master Sergeant who served in the US Air Force and blames the incident on, quote, negligent callousness, saying it's not a standalone incident for Israel's military.
At least one vehicle was clearly marked and the other 2 were very clearly a part of that convoy. So not to know those critical pieces of information is pure negligence. And that right there would have been one of the checks to say, hey, wait, this is a yellow flag or a red flag here.
The bodies of the 6 foreign aid workers were transported out of Gaza yesterday, including Jacob Flickinger, a 33-year-old dual US-Canadian citizen who leaves behind a baby son.
This incident is already impacting Palestinians who are contending with war and hunger, because it's not just World Central Kitchen that suspended its operations in Gaza. Another American nonprofit, ANERA, says it's also pausing its work there. Anne-Marie and Vlad.
All right, Holly, thank you. Well, a Palestinian-American doctor who walked out of a meeting with President Biden on Tuesday says he left, quote, out of respect for my community. He spoke with Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan about the meeting.
I wasn't sure that I was going to walk out of this meeting unless it felt like it was the right thing to do. And when the president really didn't even mention Gaza or Palestine in his first initial comments to me, I felt that I needed to get out and I needed to at least express the hurt and the pain that the entire Palestinian American community is feeling.
Well, this comes as President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu are expected to speak today. So for more on that crucial phone call, we're going to bring in CBS News White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Weijia, it's good to see you. What can we expect from this phone call between President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Well, President Biden is expected to convey in private what he has been saying in public, which is that he is outraged. He's angry, he's deeply disappointed, and he wants answers. He has called for a swift investigation into what happened with this strike, how there was such a lack of coordination. And so I think it's expected to be a very tense phone call, Anne-Marie, at a time when their relationship is already very tense because of the things that have happened, especially in recent weeks, as Netanyahu plans to launch a full-scale ground invasion into the city of Rafah, which is something that the Biden administration is trying to push them not to do. And so the president has been increasingly more vocal in criticizing Netanyahu's and the IDF's military strategy. But I think it's really important to point out, Anne-Marie, that even though his words have changed and he has sharpened his rhetoric, the U.S. policy has not changed to continue sending aid packages to Israel without conditions.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. As you know, we're also in the middle of an election. There's campaigning. The president has received a lot of criticism from some within his own party about his support for Israel. I want to play some sound from White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday.
You heard from the president last night. You heard from my colleague from the National Security Council yesterday and also earlier today. I think the president's statement was very, very strong, right? Very straightforward. He wants to see an investigation that's swift, an investigation that's comprehensive, that brings accountability, and he wants to make sure that it is made public.
So can you talk a little bit about the mounting pressure that President Biden is under, and whether this pressure could have some sort of impact on what you just brought up, the sale of weapons from the U.S. to Israel?
Well, so far, that pressure has not changed the president's mind when it comes to not only supplying military aid and weapons, but whether or not to condition it, which has not happened yet. First, I want to talk about what Karine said in this clip, because she talked about how the president is pressing for a full investigation, for accountability. Well, the U.S. is not launching its own investigation into this, and so there is not a third party doing that. And just yesterday, the White House said that they are relying on Israel to supply those answers. So Israel is going to be investigating itself. I also asked John Kirby, who is a spokesperson, about whether any U.S. supplied weapons and resources were used in this strike, and he said, I don't have the answer to that. And so that could be the case, and they're relying on the Israelis to answer that question, along with many others. And I think that is part of the reason why you're seeing so much mounting frustration, Anne-Marie, from people watching on the outside, because they are demanding accountability. And even though the president says they should be held accountable, the question about why remains largely unanswered, or how, I should say, because, again, nothing has changed in terms of the way U.S. is actually supporting Israel. But you're absolutely right. This is costing the president politically. There are members within his own party, not just on the very left, but now even in the center. In fact, just this morning, a very close Biden surrogate, Senator Chris Coons, said that he believes that we are at the point where we should consider conditioning aid, and that there should be an independent investigation into what happened. And so you're right, this is political, and this is very difficult for the president to navigate, which is why we're hearing such strong wording. But again, the actions have not followed.
Right. Weijia Jiang, thank you very much.